Hey New Zealand, Adam here from chemguys.co.nz. Thank you so much for taking part in our lockdown detailing school. We're getting quite a few questions come through. Keep them coming through, that's awesome. A lot of those I wanted to answer here. We've got people like Arn, shout out to Arn, asking questions about paint defects. We're getting questions about scratches and swirls and water spots, and pretty much all falling into that same category of I've got a defect in my car, I'm not sure what approach to take. So I just wanted to take a real simple step through this and talk about the way I would approach it and the thought process there and why that is. So I've drawn up here a picture of the paint of your car. You've got the metal, you've got a few layers of base coat, and then you've got hopefully quite a few layers of clear coat over the top of that. Now, I find the most simplest thing when you're starting off looking at the defect is to understand, is it something on the surface of the paint that you can remove, or is it something that's etched into the paint, or it's a cut or a swirl or a scratch that has taken away the clear coat? Because if it's on the surface, you can take it away, but if it has already taken the clear coat away, then you can't put back what's been taken away. So understanding that first off, because if it's on the surface, then I would recommend trying some much less aggressive things first off before trying polishing, for example. So I would be trying claying with clay lube. We'll get a lot of that surface stuff off. Or for water spots, I'd really recommend trying heavy duty water spot remover. That is an amazing product, and that'll it's designed to work with the minerals in the water spots to make it easy to remove those from your paint. That said, if the water spots have been on there for a while, they may have etched chemically into your paint and damaged your clear coat. I would still use the water spot remover to remove them first and to have a look, and then if there is removed clear coat, then I would look at my options there. So if you've got a scratch, if you've got a swirl, if you've got etching and there's missing clear coat, one solution to remove that is to polish, and polishing is removing paint. That's the simplest way to look at it. A good way to visualize it is think about having a natural wooden table, and then some guy comes along with a screwdriver and puts a big gark in it. The way to fix that would be to sand the surface of the table down so that the bottom or the top of the surface is now at or around the bottom of that gark. And in doing so, though, you have removed a little bit of the wood of your table, but now you've got a nice flat surface and it looks like a new table. That's what we're doing with polishing, but at a micro level. And the differences with the polishes, we get asked a lot about what is the best polish, what is the best compound. That's a bit like, to use the table analogy, like asking what is the best sandpaper. Well, it depends on the level of aggression, how deep is the scratch, how much do you want to take away, and if you use a more aggressive solution, then you will end up with marks from using that, and you'll have to go back over with a finer level to take those marks out. So the reason you see paint, or see scratches in paint, is good to understand. You're not actually seeing the scratch itself. You're seeing the light reflecting at a different angle. So when the sun, you always got to have a sun in your picture. The light comes down, hits the surface, and it bounces off, and it will bounce off at the same angle. When it hits a scratch, it'll bounce off at a different angle, and that's what your eye is seeing. And it's worth understanding that, because that explains why the different solutions we have work. As I said, the first one is polishing down. So if I look at these smaller scratches over here, because it's a bit simpler, if we lowered the surface of the paint to here, now the scratches are gone, and all of the surrounding clear coat for that is gone as well, and you've got a nice flat surface. Of course, if you've got a scratch this deep, it's gone right the way to the metal, you're probably going to want to repaint. That's not it. If you've got a deep scratch like this, then you've got to decide, do I want to polish that far down and take away that much clear coat? And if you do, that's cool. Excuse me. If you don't, then you might decide you're only going to polish a bit down, and then you might want to put a glaze over the top. Or if you had to put the scratches back, if you had some smaller scratches there, another simpler solution is to apply what's called a glaze. Now, a good way to think about a glaze is to think about it as being like makeup for cars. It'll fill in all those little wrinkles and scratches. They are still there. It hasn't taken them away, but they're going to be a lot harder to see. So what a glaze does is it puts a very fine layer over the top of your paint and fills in minor imperfections. They're still there. You haven't taken the scratch away, and in time, with water and the elements, the glaze will wash away, and the scratches will be visible again, and you can reapply it again. I find glazes really useful. I know some people will consider them cheating, but I think it's good to know all of the different tools and the advantages and how they work. We did not that long ago, you might have seen, and we'll post a picture of it in the comments, a very rare Callaway twin turboed. It had a heck of a lot of scratches in it, but we didn't want to polish and remove paint on such a rare car, so we instead used a glaze, and the scratches were still there, but you could barely see them, and the paint really popped. So it's good to know you've got options. Glazes are especially helpful when you don't have much time. You might be going to a car show and you don't have, a whole lot of time to polish and get that out there, when you just really want to get that mirror shine really, really quick. Now we have a range of glazes. I'm a big fan of black light for black cars and white light for white cars. If you've got a white or black car, check those out. They are awesome products. But if you've got for any coloured car, our ultimate glaze is one we use a lot when we are doing show cars. But another great product is the wet mirror finish. It is, it's amazing. It just really, my father used it recently on an Oldsmobile, and really made the paint pop. Glazes don't just hide the scratches, but they also will add a real mirror shine to the paint and really make it pop. And really cool. A lot of people don't use glazes, and it's a great trick to have in your arsenal there. Yeah, so I think that covers off those main questions. Applying a glaze. I would be just using a pad like this. You've seen it in the videos. If not, have a look back. We covered it off. We're going to be putting all of the classes in one spot on our website soon. So look out for that. We'll post it when that happens in the comments below. But effectively, use an applicator like this, and you just apply it like that, very, very quickly. Leave it to dry. Do it by hand. I've got, I think, 4 machines at home. I still use it. I still put on my glazes by hand. I don't find it any quicker doing it by machine. You're just spreading it out. You don't have to work it in, and just a thin layer over it. Only on the paint, not on the glass. Leave it, and then buff the excess off. That was another question someone had with the glass, with the different cloths for buffing off. When I'm removing polishes, waxes, glazes, I use the workhorse towels, and that's a blue one for glass. I try and color code green for exterior. We also have a happy ending towel. Now the happy ending towels are a lot softer and really nice. I like using those for a quick clean down with speed wipe at a show. But the workhorse have got like tiny little hooks on the end of them, so I find them much more effective at taking polish off and make that job a lot easier. Another question someone had was, what's the best polish? And like we said before, it depends. There is no best polish in the Chemical Guys range. They're all the same quality. They're all really good polishes, but it's depending on that aggression of how much polish or how much paint you want to take away. My go-to is an orange or green pad with the V36, and I find that's about as aggressive as I can go on most paint and get away with a single stage polish, or which is just polishing one time. And when you're doing it, you know, all the time, you want to get it done as quick and easy as you can. But if there are deeper scratches, I would then go in with something more aggressive and maybe a yellow pad. And but in doing so, by being more aggressive, I'm going to have swirl marks from the polishing process itself, and I'll have to go back over with a much finer polish to take those out in what they call a two-step polish. That's what people refer to there. You can do a three-step, two-step, one-step polish, but if you can get away with a one-step, then that's a better solution. And the other thing is, if you spend all that time polishing your car or addressing the defect, please protect it. Whether that's putting over butter wet wax or jet seal and butter wet wax over the top, which is one of my go-tos. And if you've got the paint looking awesome and you want to protect it and keep it that way, you don't think you're going to get it any better, then I would definitely be getting our threesome kit and putting the HydroCharge and HydroSlick over the top. Those products are just, they're epic. If, however, you don't think you've got all the defects out, then I would be sticking to jet seal and butter wet wax. If you've got more questions, flick them through to us. We'll try and answer more of them as we get through it. Trying to keep this brief. We're already rambled a bit too long, so sorry about that. Another question people had with pads, which one we would recommend there. So personally, I always use the Hex Logic pads, and there's a few we've been using, and always get the ones I recommend with the holes in the middle. I use 3 pads per car at least. They will last much longer than that, but as you get through about the third of a car, you'll find your pad will get a bit clogged and it will get hot. And the cooling hole really helps, but I find a third of the way through a car, the simplest thing for me to do, take the pad off, chuck a fresh one on, hit it with some more polish and a little bit of pad conditioner, which is not to be forgotten, and I will get a better result. The work will be easier, and I won't risk damaging the paint or damaging my pads. And you can see this is a pad someone sent back to us that they have used and abused to the point of the fact that it has melted the backing of the pad here, and it also melted the backing plate as well. So they had to not only get more pads, they had to get a new backing plate, and I wouldn't mind betting that they damaged their paint there as well. So that's enough for us. We'll be posting more questions and answers and more videos shortly. Thank you very much. Stay safe, stay at home, and thank you for being part of the Chemical Guys family in New Zealand. We really appreciate it. See ya.